Hey there, it's author and attorney Kelly O'Connell with Knockout Podcasts, wishing you a wonderful day. Now, today's story is about an evil Chinese government who uses their own minority population to fund a billion-dollar industry of organ transplants. They use religious minorities like Christians to sell their body parts. And what are these people guilty of that they would have to be shot and have their organs removed? Or however they do it. They're guilty of not believing that the communist government is a god. So we're going to get into that. But first, a little bit of weird news for you, which is pretty hilarious. But I want to throw one other thing out there. It's become common knowledge that Joe Biden is not fit to be leading the country. He's not fit to be driving a car. He's not fit to be ordering from a restaurant menu. And there's a lot of upset people out there. And there's more individuals who want to know what the plan of the Democrats is to replace him. And obviously Kamala Harris is number one, she can't be removed from her position because she's black and female. And number two, she can't lead the country. So what are they going to do? All right. So I've got this very entertaining article here that I had never even heard of the topic, but it's from Spectator World, the UK Spectator. And the title is, Why Are People Dying at Gender Reveal Parties? And it's really absolutely hilarious. Gender reveal is just you find out the gender of your child or your grandchild or whatever, and you have a party. And during the party, it's revealed what the gender is. Now, you would think in a time when gender is both everything and nothing that this wouldn't mean anything to people, but it does. It's enormously popular. And it's not supposed to mean anything because a person can be any gender they want within 30 different genders, I think it is. At any time, they can change their mind about which gender they are. And it's obviously has within it a fallacy or a host of fallacies. If you can become any gender that you want instantly by just making up your mind that you're changing your gender, then there is no such thing as gender. It's just a phantasm. It's just a thought you had. And so, or if there is gender, it doesn't mean anything. And yet gender is also all important because it has so much impact on what is done politically. So it's like many things that the left has spun out, it's completely contradictory. But anyway, back to the story. And this story was April 23rd, 2021, so not too old, a couple of months old. A New Hampshire man turned himself into police after setting off, get this, 80 pounds of explosives as part of a gender reveal party. And he used tannerite, which is legal. It's very explosive, but it is not, it's stable, it's not unstable. You have to hit it with something for it to explode. So it set off in fear of an earthquake and actually cracked the foundations of the homes that were nearby. And so there's been a 60% increase in YouTube videos in 2017 on gender reveal get-togethers over 2016, and it just keeps getting more and more popular. Now, the most recent thing, and there's a bunch of articles on this, 2 people were killed March 29th, 2021 when a plane crashed off the coast of Mexico while carrying a trailing sign that read, "It's a girl." So these gender reveal parties are very, very dangerous for some reason. Now, another one in New York in February, a man was killed when a device he was building for his child's gender reveal party exploded. And another explosion claimed the life of a grandmother when she was struck by shrapnel in Knoxville last year. In 2020, a smoke-generating pyrotechnic device that was exploded at a California gender reveal party ignited a wildfire that burned homes and claimed the life of a firefighter. Now, that's nothing compared to this one, which happened in Arizona. And this is from patch.com. This is February 25, 2021. It's actually got a picture of it. It's a picture with a little white smoke, a little bit of what looks like dirt, and then a ton of blue powder blowing out. And this was in Santa Rita Mountain foothills, southeast of Tucson, Arizona. Gender reveal explosion ignited a 47,000 acre sawmill fire in 2017. It's just crazy. And the people that died in the plane, here's from The Cut. This is from April 1st, 2021. 2 people died in a terrifying gender reveal stunt. After completing its elaborate gender reveal stunt, a small white plane plummeted into a lagoon off the coast of Cancun, killing the pilot and co-pilot. So, anyway, just totally bizarre. And the guy that writes this article says he's trying to figure out why people are doing this and making such giant explosions that it's threatening the lives of people. And they say, number one, fertility is declining by a great deal. You know, think about the culture right now in America. It is full of doubt. It is full of conflict. Well, one thing people can focus on still is their families, but they're having a lot less kids because they're worried about their income. They're worried about the health of the child. They're worried about their careers, mostly, especially women. And so it's what they're talking about is it's narcissism. The people have smaller families to focus on, and they want to make the most of them. And here's one last anecdote here. A Louisiana family placed a watermelon in an alligator's mouth that exploded with a splash of blue jelly, meaning it turned the alligator into mush. A Texas family copied this stunt using a hippopotamus. And the writer says, where are we going with this? Will we wake up one morning to learn that a nuclear bomb has exploded in Death Valley, unleashing a pink or blue mushroom cloud? So anyway, I thought that was wildly entertaining. I had no idea. And there are people out there that are dying. And the one guy that killed himself, by the way, New York State, I think he was 28, Christopher Peckney, assembling an explosive device. That's pretty sad. The kid has got to grow up without a father because he was so excited about his son that he made a very stupid mistake. But all right, so today's today's story is not nearly as entertaining. It's very sad. China has built an industry out of organs, and the organs are from their own citizens or their own people, and they are taken from the bodies of executed people, and they're mostly Uyghurs and Christians who are being executed. They're being imprisoned and then executed. I assume they're being executed for the organs, but they're being imprisoned because they are not part of the belief system in China, which, if you look in the history of China, you'll have this guy by the name of Kung Fu or Confucius. There's one of the religions over there, and obviously Buddhism, that type of thing. But Confucianism is actually a philosophy that's designed for leadership. So, funny enough. Anyway, title of this article is Devilish, China, the globe's most evil state, and China's organ sale program is on a par with the Nazis, and that might sound like overkill, but it's really not, folks. And so why is this happening in China? And I've got a few reasons here for you. The first one is there are no human rights in China. Go look it up. Second, the society is composed upon Marxist principles with some capitalism, and so Marxism is a highly unethical system if you study the history of it and the beliefs. They don't believe in God. They don't believe in a soul. Third, the government is designed upon atheist secular ideals, like I was just saying, so bans religion. 4, the government has launched a large-scale human organ transplant business, which is worth over $1 billion. 5th, there is no law above the law to check any of the above problems. So we have a constitution of something is unconstitutional. It's illegal. It's a way to fight back against the government, really. Sixth, influenced by secular media, Americans have a blase attitude towards China and don't understand how dangerous the world's biggest country is, the most populous country, I should say. And many don't care about the real facts. So on organ transplants, they're making $1 billion a year on organ sales, which is a ton of money, obviously. But by the way, this article is going into Canada Free Press right after I get done. And given China's rejection of human rights laws, religion, and the concept of the human soul, there's no reason not to take. Think about this. They don't have, in their belief system, they don't have a reason not to take out these organs. They're atheistic. And even though Protestantism is growing like crazy in China, it's still illegal. There's no freedom of religion over there. And so here's one of the headlines, forced organ harvesting. I'm going to China, they're shooting my donor. I mean, that's creepy, huh? And now in 2015, the Chinese who had been, basically attacked or confronted over these organ transplants, these ghastly, ghoulish organ transplants, they said they were going to stop doing it in 2015. And yet a number of articles that I came across report that the practice is still going on. And so here's another article titled China Forcefully Harvests Organs from Detainees. Now, organ transplants 2021, United Nations believes and has proof that Chinese minorities are targeted in organ harvesting. And the nightmare of human organ harvesting in China, transplants far outnumber official donors. What does that mean? Prisoners of conscience evidently account for the difference. And there's a movie on this if you want to look it up on YouTube, which is called Hard to Believe. I've got all this linked in here. All right, who are the executed prisoners? According to the UN, they're typically religious minorities, including Christians, and they're called expendables or marginalized groups. And here's from an NBC News report. Quote, the organs of members of marginalized groups detained in China prison camps are being forcefully harvested, sometimes when patients are still alive. An international tribune sitting in London has concluded. In a statement released alongside the final judgment, the tribunal said many of those affected were practitioners of Falun Gong, spiritual discipline that China banned in the 1990s and has called an evil cult. The tribunal added that it was possible that Uyghur Muslims, an ethnic minority who are currently being detained in vast numbers in Western China, are also being targeted. And then human rights. What about human rights in China? They're calling this the darkest period in China since Tiananmen Square. United States government says that China absolutely disregards human rights. They don't exist over there. And a quote from that report is the government of the People's Republic of China, PRC, guided by a totalitarian ideology under the absolute rule of the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, deprives citizens of their rights on a sweeping scale and systematically curtails freedoms as a way to retain power. People in China cannot practice the religion of their or belief of their choice. They cannot express their opinions openly or form or join groups of their choosing without fearing harassment, arrest, retribution. Members of minority groups are subject to mass arbitrary detention, Orwellian-style surveillance, political indoctrination, torture, forced abortions, sterilization, and state-sponsored forced labor. Now, we're getting lectures by corporations in America, one of which is Nike, Levi's, Delta Airlines, lecturing us. So, how many of these companies that are lecturing us about voting rights in America are using slave labor in China? You don't believe in this? Listen to me here. Now, this is the conclusion of the article. China is considered an open-air prison under constant surveillance. Their population is under constant threat of arbitrary arrest. That's pretty bad, huh? Cameras everywhere. Over 236 million Chinese are affected by human trafficking. Now, not all of those people would be human trafficked, but think about this. 1.3, 1.4 billion Chinese, that is a significant portion. That's a fifth of the population. Christian churches are currently being burned and pastors jailed and murdered. And one article titled, in China, they're closing churches, jailing pastors, and even rewriting scripture. Now, here's the sad thing. In America, we don't even care about that. because Chinese are using millions of religious minorities, including Christians, as factory slaves. And the Christian human rights activists, a group of them, are urging believers to avoid products made by China's slaves. And here's the worst thing. American Christians don't care. They don't pay any attention. If they wanted to know, they would know, because it's easy to find this stuff out. I immediately found it on the internet. So the people in many of these churches in America, you got churches that the theology has been changed so that women can be pastors and they accept gay marriage or whatever radical changes within the church. And these same people don't care about the Chinese slaves that are making their stuff. Christian slaves making your cheap junk from China. What do you think of that? And Nike uses slave labor, don't they? In Xinjiang province, forced labor is reported in multinational supply chains like Nike, and like you can name a million others. Walmart. I mean, I thought Walmart was supposedly kind of Christian. Another report: China sells minorities into forced labor to benefit Apple, Foxconn, and others. Think about that. Your Apple phone is made by slaves. That's why it's so cheap. Well, it's actually very expensive, but that's why their part is cheap. So, a new bill would punish American corporate giants relying on Chinese slave labor, but is it going to get past the Biden administration when he's not even compos mentis, as they say? His brain's not working. All right, so here's my call. All the people out there who believe you're Christians, we must arise and demand to stop using China as our national dollar store and support countries who don't use murder of religious minorities for free human organ transplants. Well, that's it, folks. China is the most evil nation on the globe, and you wonder why should we resist them? That's it right there. They'll do the same thing the Nazis did. And I'm sure they'd like to make $1 trillion out of organ transplants and get rid of all of the bad people that are Christians or they're Uyghurs or they're Muslims. But when you go to Walmart and buy the cheap crap that you do at discount prices, remember, very good chance it's made by slave labor. And what about all the corporations that lecture us in America? How many of them, I ask you, have gotten rich through China and don't care because they're hypocrites? They don't care. Thank you for tuning in. Please consider subscribing and make a comment in the video. I hope you have a great day. Kelly O'Connell, podcast Knockout Radio. Ciao.